You know all that money, billions of dollars, sent as foreign aid? Well, have you ever really wondered where it all goes? We're about to break down a really fascinating study that follows the money, and let me tell you, it reveals a surprising truth about why even the best intentions don't always get the job done. I mean, just think about it. You've got these huge organizations like the European Union pouring billions and billions of dollars into developing nations. And the goal is fantastic, right? Better healthcare, stronger communities, literally saving lives. It's meant to be a critical lifeline. But as you're about to see, that's not always the end of the story.
And right here, this is the puzzle. It's the question that keeps development experts up at night. We see these massive investments flowing in, but the results on the ground, well, they can be really disappointing. So what's going on? If all that money is there, why aren't we seeing the life-changing results we expect every single time?
All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to follow a case study from Ghana to get to the bottom of this. We'll start with the promise of aid, then we'll unpack this super important concept called fungibility. From there, we'll see its real-world impact, figure out why it happens, and finally look at what we can actually do about it. Let's dive in. Okay, first stop, Ghana. It's the perfect place to really understand this global issue up close. So at first glance, things look pretty good. The Ghanaian government is actually increasing its own funding for healthcare, which is great news. But here's the catch. The health sector there still really depends on foreign aid for the absolute basics. We're talking medical supplies, doctor and nurse training, you name it. This dependency makes every single dollar of that aid so incredibly important. And this is where we hit the key idea for this whole thing. It's a term you might not have heard before, but trust me, it explains so much. It's called a fungibility. So what is it exactly? Well, put simply, aid fungibility is when money given for a very specific purpose, like healthcare, basically lets a government take the money it was already going to spend on healthcare and move it somewhere else. The aid money still pays for the medicine, sure, but the government's original budget is now freed up for something totally different. Let me make it super clear with this example. Imagine a donor hands you $100 just for new medical textbooks. Now, you were already planning to buy those exact same books with your own $100. So what do? You use the donor's money for the books. And hey, presto, your original $100 is now free. You can use it to fix some roads. See what happened? The aid money, in effect, paid for the road repairs, even though it was earmarked for textbooks. That right there is fungibility. And get this, it's not just one thing. The study breaks it down into three main types. You've got general fungibility, which is the most extreme. That's where healthcare aid could end up indirectly funding something totally unrelated, like the military. Then there's categorical fungibility, a little closer to home, where money for hospitals might get shifted to, say, education. And finally, non-additional fungibility. That's our textbook example, where aid just replaces money the government was going to spend anyway. Okay, so we get the concept, but does all this financial shuffling actually matter in the real world? Let's take a look at the actual, measurable impact this has on people's health. Now, the researchers didn't just guess about this stuff. They used a pretty powerful statistical tool called regression analysis. That just means they could sift through tons of data to find the precise, data-driven connection between aid fungibility and the quality of healthcare, separating it from all the other noise. And the results are, well, they're startlingly clear. Just look at this chart. It shows the relationship between each type of fungibility and healthcare delivery. And what do you see? Every single one of those bars is negative. That first one, general fungibility, has the biggest negative impact of all. The takeaway here is just impossible to ignore. The more fungible the aid, the worse the health outcome. But this is a number that really tells the whole story. The study found that fungibility explains a whopping 56.1% of the negative results in healthcare delivery. Let that sink in for a second. Over half of the problem can be traced back to this one issue of aid getting shifted around. This isn't some minor detail, it's a massive part of the problem. So, of course, this leads to the next logical question. If this is so damaging, why on earth does it keep happening? What's really driving this behavior? The study points to what's basically a perfect storm of pressures. You have governments desperate to cover budget gaps or pay off huge debts. You got the temptation to inflate project costs to create a little financial breathing room. And yep, the study also calls out corruption. And, just as importantly, the fact that donors often aren't able to effectively monitor where the money is going. It's a really complex mix of financial pressure and weak systems. Okay, understanding the problem is one thing, but the real question is, what can we do about it? Let's talk about the path forward. When the researchers dug into the single biggest roadblock, the answer they got was loud and clear. The number one challenge was, and I'm quoting here, a lack of integrity and transparency on use of healthcare aid. This isn't just about sloppy bookkeeping, it's a fundamental problem of trust and openness. And this lack of transparency, well, it doesn't happen in a vacuum. It's tied to other big issues like poor government accountability and just plain weak coordination between the people giving the money and the people receiving it. When those links in the chain are broken, it creates the perfect environment for money to get lost. So, what's the fix? The study lays out a pretty clear multi-step action plan. First, you've got to empower the public. Let people know about these projects so they can hold leaders accountable. Second, demand more transparency and better management. Third, help governments get better at raising their own money so they're less tempted to divert aid. And finally, invest in training the officials who manage these funds. And that leaves us with one final and really critical question. All the evidence suggests that transparency is the best cure for this problem of fungibility. But making it happen takes real effort. So whose job is it to write that prescription? Is it on the donors writing the checks, the government spending the money, or the citizens whose very lives depend on it? That's something we all need to think about.